Hey, thanks for checking this out with me today. So, I just got an article pop up on my feed, and it is about Biden potentially making a return to the campaign conversations. Do I think that's a good idea? I don't know. We're going to find out because right now, I've never really been for his politics, never really ever listened or cared about what he was saying much of. It didn't impact me other than just kind of negatively, so I didn't. I don't know. I don't have too much to say about that. It's what's done is done at this point, and I don't think we should have a repeat of that type of history. Uh, but overall, I this was by David Weigel on May 5th, 2026, pretty much at 4:20. So the news. Somehow, before his party finished reckoning with his legacy, Joe Biden returned. The former president waded into two Democratic primaries last week to endorse candidates who'd worked for his administration, so he just kind of walked in. Keisha Lance bottoms in the Georgia gubernatorial race, and Dan Coe, who's seeking an open house seat in Massachusetts. And in California's gubernatorial battle, Biden's former Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra has picked up endorsements and momentum ever since disgraced ex-rep Eric Swalwell bowed out. He hasn't gotten formal backing, but Becerra is running openly on his record in Biden's administration. Okay, so yeah, he's just kind of using, oh, I work for Biden, so I have experience doing this. You should vote for me. So yeah, that's what most people end up doing. I mean, that's pretty much the way to get elected. So the beginnings of Biden nostalgia and Democratic primaries show how cleanly the party is hoping to pivot this year's midterms to President Donald Trump's economic record, effectively recasting its 2024 defeat as an affordability battle that now can be won. Democrats have ignored Trump's frequent insults of his predecessor, pegging it as a distraction from the president's own unpopularity with swing voters. Yeah, I mean, Trump's highlighting why he was unpopular, though, not direct. He's just giving examples of what he did that lost the swing voters. I mean, he's not directly saying, like, he's not like sitting there like insulting him like, oh, I hate Biden. He's a war criminal. I don't think he said anything like that. It's not. He's just insulting him based on things that the entire country saw. So it's not. I mean, maybe he ramps it up a little bit too much, which I can agree with. He definitely does. But that's kind of obvious too. That is who he is. That's just who Trump is. There's also more appreciation for Kamala Harris among party voters than among its strategists, which helps inform the mini Biden resurgence. Candidates see the same pattern playing out when it comes to the former president. They're galvanized by Trump's continued efforts to question the 2020 election, too. Biden's approval is 83% in the district, said Coe, Deputy White House assistant, who is running for a seat that backed Biden by 27 points and Harris by 21. I think that Trump's aggression, people even more so, realize that his leadership, both as a person and his policies, are sorely missed. No, I don't think people miss him like that. Not they miss the leniency. They miss the generosity and the freedom that Biden gave people. Like, hey, stay home, do nothing, don't contribute, just hang out. Let's just all party all the time and not and if you say anything wrong, well, that's not right of you. We're going to kick you out of society. That's what we're going to do. Like I wouldn't say it was so clean cut that it's like, oh, people are missing it like crazy. So I don't know. Biden left office as the first one-term Democratic president since Jimmy Carter. With approval ratings under 40%, he angered some allies on the way out, pardoning his son Hunter after promising not to and suggesting that he, unlike Harris, could have won the 2024 election. Well, then why did he stop? Like, after promising to not. Few Democrats believe that outside of Biden's inner circle. Exactly. So no one believes that he was going to win. That's why he backed out of the entire race in the first place. Former President Barack Obama hit the trail for Democrats in last year's competitive elections, but Biden stayed away. He spoke up after the off-year races were over, addressing the Nebraska Democrats at a party dinner at Gaza protest as Gaza protesters were kept behind a police line. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's their party. They got Gaza protesters outside of an event that was addressing Democrats. You can't make that up. They're protesting their own people, and this was a while ago. We handed Donald Trump, literally, not figuratively, the strongest economy in the world. That's a lie. That's a lie. He put in $8.4 trillion worth of U.S. debt. So, no, not quite true. Said in Omaha. That set the tone for his next political speech, a commemoration of his 2020 South Carolina primary win, in which he derided Trump for a net loss in his first term, net job loss. Few Democrats were as committed as Biden to defending his record, but the former president's allies believe he's being vindicated by Trump. In national Harvard-Harris polling this year, 53% of voters said that the economy was worse than it had ever been under Biden. Really? And 62%, yeah, of course. A few Democrats committed as Biden defending his record. President, like, in national Harvard-Harris polling. Yeah, Harvard-Harris polling. What even is that? But that's still, that's only 3% more than half say that it's worse than Biden. So that's like saying if Trump does one thing that changes it and gets 15% of those people to say, hey, actually no, maybe it's not as bad as it was. Now all of a sudden Biden is, if 40% of people say that is, judging by this, then that would be worse under Biden. So, and 62% blame Trump for the decline. 62 and 53. Where? That's a weird. Oh, they're unrelated. The Democratic candidates and party leaders who saw through the endless yelling about his age and stayed focused on what he actually delivered for the American people are the ones earning his endorsement, said Nebraska Democratic Party Chair Jane Fleming Klebe. And they will win their elections because voters see the good Joe Biden did for the party's infrastructure and for our party's infrastructure. That right there kind of catches me off, because who was Biden running under? What type of, because I'm genuinely curious on this. What was Biden actually running under when it comes to the party? I assume it was just Democratic National, but was he actually under the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America? Because if that's the case, then I guess he did something good for the infrastructure. But if he wasn't, technically he led to more of a divide between the Democrats by not doing exactly what the Democratic Socialists wanted. And if you don't do exactly what they want, then that means you disagree with everything they agree with, and you're evil. So it depends on how the party's infrastructure is looked at in this type of situation. But yeah, let's continue on. That sentiment may be giving Democrats with Biden ties a real boost with Democratic voters, even when their work for his administration wasn't particularly well viewed. Becerra, whose cabinet role came about largely thanks to a push from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, now highlights that work as executive experience no other Democrat can match. So yeah, they're using it to say, oh well, look at all these stats. Everyone knows everything was better under Biden, and because of that, you should vote for me because I helped Biden make everything great for everyone. Like, come on, guys. This is just how it is now. Like, that's kind of how it reads to me. Don't know if I'm viewing it wrong, but to me, that's I look at this and I read it and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't exactly surprise me. Who has had to declare a crisis, a state of emergency, of the candidates that are running at the scale of California? Becerra asked at a town hall meeting in the Central Valley last month. Only one candidate, me. Okay, so yep, just more humble bragging, of course. Republicans and one Democrat, San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan, viewed Becerra's Biden record as a weakness. At their last debate on April 28th, the only mention of the Biden administration came from Mahan, who used it to attack Bakar's record. The secretary has never met a crisis that he couldn't ignore, whether it was migrant children, the 85,000 who were lost, monkeypox. We were slow to respond and then blamed the gay community for the crisis, or COVID, where the Biden administration had to sideline him. Yeah, that is that's a good one. Yeah. Here, let me highlight what you fixed, but let me highlight what died before you fixed it. Let's just reiterate that sure, some things were fixed. I'm sure some people felt better. I didn't, because none of the changes actually affected me. Nothing they did changed my life in any way, except made it a little bit more difficult to speak my mind. But now that things are changing, that's why I'm more interested in doing this. Mahan said, "You're not wearing a mask, are you, Matt?" Bakara shot back, "You are not worried about catching monkeypox, right? We were able to deal with these crises." Yeah, so you don't have to wear a mask because she fixed the monkeypox, which started because they didn't. Yeah, you get it. The grumbling over Biden's record has been quieter in Georgia, where Republicans, nervous about their own messy primary, see Lance Bottoms as a weak potential nominee. Republicans quickly blended her Biden endorsement into their messaging, which focused more on the former Atlanta mayor's single term, as well as her perceived mishandling of the pandemic and national unrest that defined the summer of 2020. Keisha Lance Bottoms burned Atlanta to the ground. Trump endorsed GOP contender Burt Jones said on X, "Now she and Joe Biden want to do it again." Yeah, so they're basically just saying, look, you can say what you want. The problems that were started was because of you, so you fixing your own issues doesn't exactly, mean anything. So you burn it to the ground. Why do you want to do it again? You fixed most of it that you burned to the ground, or some of it? I don't know. I don't really follow Atlanta. I should more, but I have not been. Unlike Bakara, who endorsed Biden well after he won the 2020 nomination, Lance Bottoms was an early supporter who defended him to the hilt and made an early running mate list. In her memoir, published last month, Lance Bottoms writes that she turned down an unspecified cabinet job to finish her mayoral term. She spent just 8 months leading Biden's office of public liaison, saying on the way out that the president's poll numbers have gone up tremendously. Then served on the low-profile Presidential Export Council. As a 2024 campaign surrogate, she did not join the stampede of Democrats urging him to quit after his final debate with Trump. "I was surprised by the president's performance," she wrote of Biden at the time. "I had never experienced a moment with him that made me question his physical or cognitive abilities." Well, I mean, we've all seen the same things, right? We know exactly why people are questioning his cognitive abilities. I mean, it seems like he just kind of forgets things in the middle of talking, as well as falling down. Well, no, I guess Trump fell down the stairs too, so I can't say that. Nope, they're both bad. They're both old men. But Biden, I mean, I there's been so many situations where he's like, "What? I never said that. What? No, you're a liar." And then we have it on video of him doing and saying the exact thing he's saying he didn't do. So like she asked the former president for an endorsement and got it. Her Democratic primary rivals saw her record in Atlanta and D.C. as easy fodder for Republicans, but the ex-president's popularity with their own voters made it hard for them to attack first. Room for disagreement. Republicans from the White House on down enjoy contrasting the Biden record with Trump's and continue to blame the ex-president for the problems popping up now. Joe Biden's administration resulted in massive inflation, open borders, and a cover-up for his mental acuity, which I think the other thing to do with that was the how often he used an auto pen, kind of to show that he didn't want to invest the mental faculties into properly reading it or digesting the information. He'd rather just have someone else sign it and get it out of there. Just give me the Spark Notes and you sign it. I'm good with that. Whatever. Just sign it under my name. Like that's kind of the way it seemed, which I don't know. I don't know if that's a mental acuity or he's just lazy with it. I can't say which one. I'd almost bear towards lazy just because that's kind of the style they fit of like handouts and free stuff. But Either way, said Republican Governors Association Communications Director Colin Crompton. The more candidates that Biden endorses, the more we will make sure voters know about it in November. Not to mention, plenty of Democrats believe that voters will be rewarded the candidate assessment that Biden stayed on too long and other elderly incumbents need to go. Exactly. Get the old people out of here. I personally, I'm for, after watching some of the JD Vance as well as the Marco Rubio speeches and conversations, they're the ones that I kind of want to target the next problems within the country. The younger generation. Let's do like a 55 to like a 65 or 70 max, and then keep it in that bracket. Make it so those ones are the primary people running that we vote on. I mean, let anyone run who wants, that's over the age of 35, but let's just as a country try to vote in someone younger just so we have a little bit more, they have a little bit more agency in the matters that they're actually addressing. They're not coming from old ideology. So Joe Biden's administration resulted in massive inflation. Yep, the more candidates know about Biden endorses, voters should know about in November. Not to mention, plenty of Democrats believe that voters will reward the candidate assessment that Biden stayed on too long and otherly incumbents. Yeah, so Representative Seth Moulton, Democrat Mass, who is challenging Senator Ed Markey in the party's primary this year, says that his early role in urging Biden to quit has been an asset with voters. Another thing lacking in this party is courage, Moulton said. It's about the courage to speak truth to power and to actually give voice to what people are saying on the ground. But people in Washington are too scared to say on TV. Yeah. David's view, any idea of the president's... interesting, though, is that the Biden is trying at all stayed out of party politics until endorsing the vice president, Walter Mondale, for the 1984 Democratic nomination. Barack Obama didn't intervene in a primary until May 2018, and that was Feinstein died in 2023. So, yeah. There's another reason why Biden is back, Democrats. So, yeah, I guess technically a little bit of a clickbaity title. He's not technically running again. Not happening. They're just using the accreditation of his campaign and trying to brand it as like a success, like a look how good we did, look how amazing we are, look at the two things we did while we were working with the president, look at this, look at these two things that we did. Like, yeah, that's us, yeah, we did that. Like, it's, I don't know. Use your own accolades. Don't use something that is such a negative representation on it already. It doesn't seem like you're going to lose a lot of Democrats who've been pushed away because of what the Biden administration's party kind of censored. They kind of allowed labelization of individuals who disagreed with them even remotely, and because of that, it created this weird paradigm of uncertainty within their own party. So I don't know. That it's an interesting one though. So I'd like to see the Democrats do more on their own without Biden and Harris being the primary conversation topics, but at this point I don't know what they're going to do because they keep attacking their own party. So anyone that's actually a viable option, they usually just kick them to the wolves, because if they disagree with one thing, well, then all of a sudden you're a Nazi. That's it. So, thanks.